Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. We're about to get started. We're going to be coming in. We have guest stars tonight. Again, welcome. My name is Doc Williams, and this is Build With Me. Tonight, like every other night, we build a business with one tool, one AppSumo tool, and we build 3 businesses with it live. So tonight, we have guest stars in the building tonight. We have a talented duo here. So we're going to be talking about how you can get your first deal as a copywriter, how you're going to be doing that. So first of all, before we get into it, who do we have the pleasure to be with this evening?
Hi.
You got it. You got it. This is good. This is good. So what we're going to do, we're going to intro. Don't worry, guys. We got you. Oh, look, Sebastian, you're already here. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get rolling, and then we're going to be talking about you guys and then go right into this. So come with me. Okay, Sumo Links. So again, we're going to have a very talented group with us tonight. They're going to be telling their story. They're going to be talking about how you're going to be able to start capitalizing as a freelancer and get your first deal as a copywriter. So first of all, Sarah Beth and Alex, we welcome you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're here in Austin, same as AppSumo. And we have been copywriters. Alex started this business over 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I jumped on 3 years ago, and we're also married. So we run this business from our house. This is our office, and we love it. So we're niche down into SaaS specifically, but we also I do some UX writing, and Alex does some executive ghostwriting, and so we kind of flex in those areas.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit. Who have you worked with, some of your clients, and all that stuff?
Yeah, well, AppSumo is the most obvious one. And then we've worked with Outbound Engine, Pezler AG, Electrify.
Dash This. And I've worked with several different UX writing clients. One was like a large bank in the Middle East. I can't really talk about. One was an English language learning game. So I helped with the microcopy in their app. But we've worked with all kinds. I mean, when we started, we were working for anyone who would hire us. So we worked for a guy who had us writing gutter websites. We worked for real estate agents. We worked for, you name it, dog walkers. It was great. So.
Okay. Good time. So we're going to learn a lot from you. We're going to be talking about how you have grown your business, what tools you use with AppSumo tools. We were talking about Book Like a Boss and others, so we're going to be talking about that. So as you're talking, we're going to be previewing different tools. And remember, this is for you, for all of you that are thinking about pivoting in your business, thinking about where to go. We're going to be talking about all of the different tools that you can get from AppSumo right now to start building your business. So tell us a little bit about how you got started. And then as you're talking, we're going to be talking about different tools connecting the storyline. So freelancing, where did you find leads and all those things? Oh, one last thing too. For ones that want to ask Sarah Beth and Alex questions, make sure that wherever you're watching this on Twitch, YouTube, put it in the chat, and then we're going to be talking about it. We'll bring it up live. So again, we see, yes, Sebastian, thank you so much for being here and being one of the Sumo Links. So I cut you off, but tell us how you got started freelancing and getting into the world.
Yeah, so I was working just like a normal 9-to-5, kind of just like front desk job. And in 2016, I quit my job because I wanted to just like find some other like more exciting thing to do. And while I was in the market trying to find another gig, I just spoke with a friend who was like, well, you're a good writer and you live in a tech city. Why don't you just write for all these tech companies on a freelance basis? And I'd never heard of that before, but I just started like buying books about it, reading about it, and found my first projects just within my own network, just started reaching out to friends who had businesses, just saying like, hey, can I just write some copy for you? Or if you have clients who need it, I can write for you. And things just started building, started learning.
And I think the key is the two people, the one who told you this was a thing, because I feel like that's point number one, is people don't really understand that copywriting is a job. Like, we both work full time and make good money writing for companies, which is awesome. And I had no idea. I was an English major, but I had no idea I could write for a living. So there's that. And I think the key was those two friends, the one who got you your first gig and the one who told you about copywriting, both worked for agencies. And so agencies are basically groups of people with skills who, perform different services for companies. So, you have ad agencies like Mad Men, and these exist, all over the country, all over the world. And so you had a friend who had a web development agency, and he was the one who he knew copywriting, was a need because he was developing websites for companies. And then the friend that got you your first gig, she had a design agency and write like Facebook ads and stuff. And so she knew, copy was needed because she needed help writing social media copy. And so so reaching out to your network. So you just sort of announced on Facebook, and when you ran into that friend, you told her, hey, I'm going to try out copywriting. She said, hey, I can hire you for something, right? Is that how you got your first?
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And then, it wasn't immediately that I could just like sustain it with just writing. So I had a few kind of side gigs at the beginning, and then things just kind of grew. The thing about freelancing is the longer you're in it, the easier it becomes, because just more and more people learn that you're doing what you're doing. And so just you're kind of constantly growing the network of people who can refer work or hire you. And as long as you're doing good work, people will just like keep saying like, oh, they actually do a great job at this. I should hire them to do this.
That's like the whole secret, honestly, is continuously improve and deliver what you say you will deliver.
Yeah.
And people are happy, because that's a huge problem in freelancing is, someone random is doing this work for you and then it never comes or it's horrible. So just, start small, do what you can do and then grow your skills. From there, we can get more into that.
That's awesome. You were talking about your network, where you're going. Could you talk a little bit, like, was it natural referrals? Were you asking for referrals? When this was going on, what happened? Was it after you delivered a project, then someone naturally, oh, I've got a friend, they have a SaaS company. Could you talk about, like, was it organic or was it purposeful that you got referrals to the next job?
That's a good question.
Yeah. At the beginning, it was definitely primarily accidental because I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I was very new to copywriting, and so I was afraid that if I started asking people to refer me out, that I would find out that they actually didn't like my writing like they said they did, and they would like refuse to to help me out. And so I was too afraid at the beginning. Now we're a lot more confident to do that, but.
And it's a good point that people like doing other people's favors. And so we try to remember that, like, in general, like if someone were to ask us for a referral, like, we have the goodwill to be like, yeah, of course, you don't always have the person to refer them to, but it's very much a social favor. And so, I think that's there, but it just happens as you, in time, we've had people leave one company, go to an agency and hire us. Alona has referred us to a friend who was a former AppSumo person who's at a new company, and we worked for that company. It just happens that we just got a lead this week from a woman who's a CMO at another SaaS company, and now she's at an emerging tech company, and she wants to hire us. So it's like
that makes sense. Yeah. Could I ask a question? Actually, Anna from YouTube, you'll see her comment. Would you have done? Would you have done anything differently when you started out? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah. I think I was too afraid to raise my rates at the beginning. I think understanding that writing has a lot of value to businesses was something that was really hard to get into my head, because most of my life I've thought kind of a starving artist idea. If you're going to write for a living, if you're going to be in the arts and creative industries of any kind, you're going to be kind of scraping by unless you're at the top of your field. And so the idea that I could charge more than I was, which was honestly just like, well, it was like 25 an hour, which might sound like high if you're working a 40-hour-a-week job, but if you're just like only working a couple hours a week, $25 an hour is not a good fee.
It's concerning.
Yeah, and so that's why I had to get the side gig. So I think I would try to give myself some more confidence and maybe learn about things like this value-based pricing, which is basically just understanding what your writing is going to do for the business and like what type of impact it's going to have. Like the other day we were bidding on a project for a recruiter's site, and we were like trying to come up with prices for like landing pages and stuff, and we were talking about it afterwards. And when a recruiter, from what I understand, when they land someone new, they can collect as much as about 20% of that person's annual salary, like from the business they recruited for. And so if our copy can deliver just like one or two more of those a year, it's like you can easily pay for like a lot higher quality writing just if you can convert one or two more people on that website because you hire the more expensive versus the lower cost copywriter.
And I think in general, I just want to say it's really hard to make it as a freelancer or as an independent business owner. It's hard work. Like you work your butt off, and I don't want to discount that or make it seem like anybody can do this. This is so easy. It is doable, and we do it. We know a lot of people who do it, and it's frankly the best job I've ever had. And I say go for it, but I think it's helpful maybe to think about it like you need to give yourself a launching pad to grow your business. And so whether that's like Alex, he did gig work on the side. He was doing live event logistics while he kind of like incubated the business, and eventually it became his full-time job. For other people, it's, you know, a side hustle while they keep their full-time job. And then the way you think about it is you kind of say, again, Dia talks about this, but he says, how do you figure out how much money you need to like jump off and do this full-time? And what he says is if you're doing it part-time, you need to give yourself a number every month. So say, you you need $5,000 a month. If you can start consistently making, and that means like 3 months in a row, for 3 months in a row, if you can make half of that, so $2,500 a month for 3 months in a row, working part-time, then you can start to do the math and go, okay, if I had full-time to do this, yeah, I could jump off and cover my expenses and save and kind of have an emergency fund if you can. And obviously it's a lot more complex than that, but if that's helpful, putting a number to how much you'll need and then working towards growing your business part-time until you can make the leap.
Good times. No, that's really good. That's really good. And I think that's actionable for ones that are trying to get started and allowing them to have a framework how to start. Virginia asks, and thank you so much for watching. Virginia asks, what type of writing projects were you doing when you just starting out? Sales letters, websites? Could you talk about that? And I think this is a good segue, talking about websites and everything and doing that afterwards. But yeah, we'd love to hear your response.
Yeah, so my first projects were a mix of ghostwriting and social media content. And so ghostwriting being like there might be an expert out there who doesn't have time to write, but they know they should be putting out content. So they literally just need someone to take their ideas and their stories, write it for them so that they can put their name on it and publish it. So I did a bit of that, and social media. And then actually the job that kind of pulled Sarah Beth into this was a technical user manual. And so it was, at the beginning, it wasn't like specialized like SEO or anything like that. I think that's one of the things that's nice to know at the beginning is you don't have to like immediately learn like SEO and direct response copywriting and all these more technical things. Like literally just knowing how to write and knowing how to write clearly and simply is a very highly valued skill in business. So like user manuals, ghostwriting, social media.
So just listening, absorbing the needs. So for this, they just needed a clear user manual. And so they had a software. They just wanted us to go through and basically say, if you click this, this is what happens, and help people through the user flows. So in the beginning, we did a lot of blogs. I feel like is one of the biggest things that people need. And, it's not the most glamorous work, but you can definitely, build your skills that way. I'm trying to think. One of the biggest, I won a writing contest on Twitter and got my first big SaaS client. That was really funny. And I mainly wrote blogs for them. But the cool thing about sort of getting in with a company blogging is that you can say, hey, as you get to know people in the company, maybe a certain division needs a landing page, and then you work on that for them. Maybe they need a white paper. Maybe they're doing a giveaway. They need, the whole giveaway written, or whatever it is. You can kind of just help, basically help the company as needs come up. And that's a good way to build your experiences. Well, but I definitely want to talk about some copywriting tips and tricks because, I feel like that's the fun stuff. It's just how to, write well. So.
Yeah. This is good. So I want to wrap this up and then kind of move over to looking on the website and everything. So you're saying get in where you can, show your proof or show that you can do it, and then it's going to come later on with bigger projects and everything like that. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. As you take on the smaller things, the simpler things, people will begin to trust you with bigger and more important projects.
Yeah, and then you have that, in your portfolio or your experience, you have that review. Maybe if you ask that client for the review, they produced a great white paper. Then a new company, that you connect with, they'll see that you've written a white paper, and then it sort of just snowballs from there.
Okay, good time. So where should we go first? Should we do a demo website and talk about that? Where would you like to go? Or talk about websites as a concept and just writing it out. What would you like to see? Do you want to see one of our websites so then you can critique it and tell us how bad we're doing? What would be best for you to see what needs to happen?
Yeah, if someone wants to suggest a certain website, we can totally go there. I know there were some questions about websites versus landing pages.
Yeah. Talk about it real quick. I think that's really important. So, there's a homepage. So you're trying to do so much with that brand versus being very specific with landing pages. Could you talk about your thought process, how you're writing for those different things?
Yeah, that's great. I love to geek out on website copy. There's a lot of things here. The first is also the North Star of copywriting. So my first tip is, if you want to be a copywriter, you have to make it all about the reader. And this is the most no-duh, slap your forehead, right? But you have a business saying, hey, we're so cool. Will you write about us? Will you just put us out there into the world? We do this. We do that. We have the solution. And so your job as a copywriter is to figure out how to spin that and make it about the user, or the reader, I guess. And so, so for, homepage copy, I think the key is you only have maybe 5 seconds to catch someone's attention. And I think also you need to remember that people scan. They don't really read chunks of text. And so how can you, really layer in, I call it chunking, but this is the work of copywriting too, is headlines. So you want to have headlines, really clear headlines that start to really get into the user's brain and help them see the benefits of what the company can provide them. And then, generally landing pages are more kind of closer to the point of buying or converting or signing up. They're a lot more focused generally. And so you still need to know how aware your reader is. Are they totally unaware? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? Or are they product aware? Do they know about your product and you're just trying to get them to convert? And so I think it's also helpful to think about how mature your market is. Joanna Weeb talks about this, and we can share a link. But with landing pages specifically, knowing how mature your market is. If it's a super mature market like Apple, if you go to the Apple website, there's no copy. They don't have any copy on their landing pages. Why? Because everyone has an iPhone in their pocket. The mental model is there. Whereas if you're trying to sell AI-powered scuba equipment, you're going to have to do a lot more work on your landing page to help people get from problem aware to solution and product aware.
Can we do this real quick? I love that. First of all, and I love Joanna Weeb. I love Copy Hackers. It's a wonderful thing. I got my first job, really. My first paid job was after going through copy school. I love her. See, small world. I did not know. What we're going to do is real quick. Can I switch over? And I'm going to have you kind of go through the AppSumo page. And actually, that's like a good transition as we're going through. Talk me through how this page is effective, right? From headline and then going down. Is that okay if you could do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just formalizing that, like, how is this? Why is this effective? Why does this work?
Perfect.
Is it the headlines or, I'll stop talking. You tell me. I'm backing off.
Yeah. Which is it? Just the homepage?
Just the homepage. Yep. I'm just up at the homepage and that's it. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
And can you see my screen?
No, we can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me so what we're doing is you're never paying full price for software again. So that's headline and then description. So maybe you're going to have to do incognito. I had to sign out. I haven't signed out of my account in so long, so I totally forgot what the front page looks like now.
Yeah. It automatically bumps to the browse page, which is very smart because then you just start seeing the tools.
Yeah.
Let me see. What's the URL? Is it just appsumo.com or /
Yeah.
home?
Yep. Then that or I had to sign out to get it. And then go from there.
Yeah, let me try that.
And as we're going there, as they're getting there, really she's going to be, so Alex and Sarah Beth are going to be talking about chunking. Remember, taking notes of how they're, going through this page to make sure you understand the concepts as they're going through each step. Sarah Beth, do you see it now?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so walk me through this.
Great. So first off, the first headline is fantastic, right? You're never paying full price for software again. That's such a benefit. And you see the framing? It's you. And so, yeah, I think that's brilliant. Do you want to jump in? I also love their call to action, the send me deals. It's very clear, and it tells you what you're getting into. And the benefit, again, deals.
Could you talk about that? Because some people might say, like, click here. How do you even come up with the call to action? What do you go through that? Should they just start off very basic, or how do you think about a call to action? What's too long? All those things.
Sure. Well, in this case, it's on a button, and so I think you are a little bit more confined in what you should be doing. Otherwise, you just have an odd-looking button. But I think it helps to know that you're starting with a verb. So the most obvious one is just putting subscribe. So it's just like, what's the action that the user is trying to take? And then from that, you can divulge into things that are much more benefits oriented. So subscribe is just, I'm going to click this button and an action is going to take place. Whereas you can go deeper into like, what is the benefit I'm going to get from having this newsletter or for like subscribing to this, like in this case, like getting software deals to my inbox. And so being able to just click send me deals, it's like that's the benefit that the person's going to be getting. So being able to have that as the call to action is just.
And I think we try to veer away from just subscribe or click here or I like having a bit more of a personalized while keeping it super short. So like I said, verb first, that's key. I love this example it's called marketingexamples.com, which they're in the AppSumo ecosystem. I know this is Sumoling who runs it, marketingexamples.com. But he has this example, and he says, like, if it's a newsletter that teaches you how to play chess, don't just say subscribe. Make the button say play better chess. It's like, or if you go to okdork.com, Noah's call to action. Let me see. I was looking at this. It's so fantastic. So his brand voice is a lot more sassy, right? Spice me up. That's the button. Spice me up, right? So that's not going to be, if you're a hospital, please don't put that as your call to action, But if you're Noah Kagan, that's like perfect. Maybe like send me more tacos might be like the only thing that would be better. But.
That makes sense. So, that's interesting. So you're taking in consideration of their brand, their voice, and then that allows you to even affects the call to action to make sure it aligns with that. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then also too, I love that it changes colors and then it just goes crazy like that. So that's pretty interesting. Could you talk about just a couple more things, and then we're going to go into your tools a little bit too as you've been building this. Where you were talking about chunking and going through a progression. Could you talk about why are you going to go from headlines and then what we do? Could you talk about the thought process of building like each section, why you would do it on the page? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, so I really enjoy Nielsen. They have like a lot of different resources for like analysis of how people read web pages, and they've been doing this for since the 90s. And so the way people read is generally in an F pattern. So people are sort of following the page along like the left-hand side if it's like text that reads from left to right. But there's also another reading pattern where when people are really scanning for the information they want, it's called the layer cake pattern, and they're bouncing around. And so if you look at heat maps and things like that. So what you want is, in general, the above the fold, which is a term from journalism. It just means the first thing someone sees when they land on a page. You want that to have the most clear benefit. We call it the value proposition. What are you really going to get from this tool that you're not going to get from anyone else? And layering that there. And then, going in, you have to kind of ask yourself, what are the jobs to be done on this site? So if someone's coming to this site, what are they trying to get? With AppSumo, they're trying to get deals, right? So they show up here and the homepage, send me deals. Okay, so maybe the thought experiment then, and you can do this through user testing. There are various ways to kind of test this, but is like, okay, who's sending me these deals? Are these going to be crappy deals or good deals? People want to know. And so that's kind of why what we do is a really smart next step. Is how does this work? Okay, wait. So they find a partner with the hottest tech companies. Okay, that's cool. Wait, MailChimp deposit. Okay, so they're seeing some social proof. They're naming some tools that they've worked with in the past. They run insane deals, and I save thousands of dollars. Okay, so it kind of it basically answers what you want to do is try to answer the questions before they're asked, and that kind of if you do like a jobs to be done analysis. That helps as well. So
that's awesome. No, this is really good stuff, and this is good questions from the audience. Keep them up. Don't worry. You can still, whatever platform you're on, keep asking questions. We see that you're watching and you're tuning in. So again, thank you so much for watching this. But this is the time to get a jump on this if you're trying to get into copywriting and get that first contract. So this is excellence. Okay. Now, there's another. Can we go on to another question as we go through this?
Yeah, sure.
So someone is asking, if you're looking at this page and I'm overwhelmed with where to start or what to test, how can I just put together a page quickly? How fast should I be working and all that stuff? So it just keeps going on and on. So I think they're asking about how fast should they frame it, and then your process from there. Do you write out all the copy all at once, or do you frame the page and then go from there?
Well, I'll tell you probably the biggest shortcut we ever discovered in copywriting. We literally do this at the start of every copywriting project, especially with websites, is you start actually not on the blank page, but you go to review sites and you find either what people are saying about you or your competitors. And so you literally take exact customer language. So if someone went onto your competitor's product hunt page and said, I love this product because like X, Y, and Z, I hate this product because of X, Y, and Z, you can literally look at those exact words, copy paste them into a Google Doc, and that's exact customer language. So the whole idea of like the customer trying to see themselves on the page when they arrive at your website, you're automatically doing that for them by just having real customer language. So you don't have any of the business jargon, don't have any other industry terms that are just going to go straight over everyone's head. and it starts you off from a place of like having a page full of copy as opposed to starting with just like a blinking cursor. And
you have your pulse on the real problems. Like, I want to pull my hair out because I can't send a proposal that works. If you're writing about proposal software, I want to pull my hair out. And so you can copy and paste that because it's not copyrighted. I mean, someone's leaving a review. It's not like this is someone else's website or something. It's just a review. So like we'll go to Facebook groups. We'll go to Amazon book pages. Like if there's a book that's related to what you're writing about. You're writing about dog walking. Go read, Caesar the dog whisperer. Go read like the comments under his book. You can use all of that. And again, you're looking for problems, right? So what are the business problems or what are the problems that this is solving? And you're starting to just copy and paste that and immerse yourself in the pain point of, whatever your company or the landing page you're trying to solve. So if you're writing a landing page for a course, well, what type of course it is? What's the pain point that course is going to solve? And start to really kind of find the places online where people are complaining. Reddit is another really good one.
Now, some of the people were asking, are you using tools to collect that data or using like AirStory and other things? Or are you just putting it into Google Doc to get that language?
We just put it in a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty low tech on that one. You can teach us a thing or two, I'm sure.
No. This is good because, we were talking about Joanna Weave and everything, right? So AirStory, which was on AppSumo deal years ago, it's changed over times, right? So it was a platform, and then it changed to be a Google Chrome extension. So there's nothing wrong with it. But again, that's what her feedback was. So many people were using Google Docs. That's why it became a Chrome extension later on. Nyota was talking about this really good information. I didn't know that I wanted to know this. That's awesome. Well, this is why we have people here. This is awesome. This is good. So this is good. I love that. Thank you so much. So now we're going to be talking about, so I think that's a good transfer too. What is the power of good copy? I think that's perfect. That transitions right into that. If you're having good copy, what can that do with your campaigns and everything like that?
Well, recently I've been looking at the data and if you look at like a mobile app or even a website, 30 to 40% of the screen is text. So imagine opening your Uber app or opening the AppSumo website and there was no text, nothing would be accomplished. So it's kind of a softball of a question because words, language, that's everything when it comes to basically giving someone an understanding that we know your problem, here's a solution, here's how to buy it. So that's the three key things, right, is you want the user to see, okay, reflect it back at me. Oh, wow, they see my problem. And then, oh, wow, they have the solution. Here are the specs of that and how that works. And then you want to give them a clear ability to buy or sign up or whatever the call to action is. So I think copy is obviously visual design is super important because if you go to a website with it's just covered in text, that's, no one's going to buy from there. But yeah, it's a balance, but I think copy, is the driver of the sale.
Awesome.
And also, yeah.
We're going to be talking about, Alex, did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
Just real quick, because tools, and we're going to be talking about what you're using to run your business and everything. Just real quick, this shout out for copy hackers and all those things. So AirStory was an alumni for AppSumo and how they've changed over time. This is what I'm using. I use it as a Chrome extension, and then if I'm doing data review mining, I'm just basically copying and then just putting it in segmenting sections. So then I take this and I drop it into Google Docs. I find this really helpful. And then also you can have all of your cards here. So I just have like product creation, homepage research, and then I tag it like that and then just drop it into my Google Doc. But one last question too on this. Could you talk about how over time, like you started with a client, they had okay to copy, but when you plugged it in, then it like changed the game. They either got more signups, they got more leads. Could you talk about just like that transition of how that happened?
Yeah.
Copywriter was a small startup. They were kind of an app in an ecosystem. So I just I wrote, they called it a use case, but it's like, a case study of how he was like an Airbnb property manager, how to use their service, their app, to raise his sales. And so I was just basically just describing this customer story, a summary, and then sort of the challenge, where he was before the app, how the app helped, and then, kind of where he is now and how much better his life is. And it doubled the whole campaign. It was like an email and the case study, maybe one or two other things. It doubled the number of users for this small app. And so it was just cool to see, like, wow, when someone kind of has the ability to really see themselves in someone else's story, they're going to sign up, they're going to start paying. And so that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's also something we haven't touched on, which is huge in the writing world, is content marketing, which is like a simple definition is basically you produce content to try to attract people to your website because you're adding value that you're kind of like putting out into the world. And and this also can like build a site's search engine optimization, so it can like help them show up in more Google searches if someone's just like looking for something that's topical to your business. And so we've had a lot of times where we write an article and it's answering a question, kind of going back to that like user language and solving user problems. We solve it in an article, and then it shows up in one of the top spots on Google. Someone clicks on it because they want to have their question answered, and then suddenly they're on your site where they can like pay you for a solution that's similar to what you wrote about. And so we have that happen a lot too, just like helping people with SEO and content.
So that's kind of a slow burn, I mean, you're not going to write one article and then see the sales, but as you write these really well optimized, SEO articles, you'll see traffic rise, and then if they're optimized, you're pushing people back to your site.
Yeah.
Good times. Love it. Okay, so we're going to transition real quick, but we're going to keep you on. Can you still be here for a little bit? Like 10 more minutes? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Really good questions, everyone. So, again, we're going to be looking at the format for Build With Me and talking about what we're doing here tonight. And now we're going to infuse, and we're going to be asking Sarah Beth and Alex, as they're building their business, what tools they use. Some people are asking what different ones that they would be using in their business that's in the store right now. So we're going to kind of put everything together. So again, if you're watching this from a AppSumo channel and you're new to Build With Me, we build 3 businesses with 1 tool every single night. This one's kind of a hybrid because we're doing a lot more teaching tonight. We have experts that are here telling you how to get to your first goal. And this tonight is getting your first client as a copywriter. So we're going to talk about the tools that you're going to be using to make sure that you get to that next level as a freelancer. So I'm going to go to AppSumo. I'm going to be talking about tools. This is where it's going to be going in a little bit deep about this. So tell me about the tools that you're going to be using to run your business to get that first deal. And we can go either way, sending invoices that look professional, running outreach, and them scheduling. You just tell me where you want to go.
Sure.
Yeah, most recently we updated our website, and so it was actually this past weekend we updated it. So it's still definitely in testing mode just to see what the response will be. But we used Book Like a Boss to integrate, basically book a discovery call into each deliverable on our pricing page. So we have 4 different offerings, and at the end of each one, there's basically a call to action that says book a discovery call. And then we created an individual Book Like a Boss page for each service. And so if someone's booking website copy, it goes to the website copy discovery call. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about Book Like a Boss. It syncs with both of our calendars. And then 2 of our offerings are, one of us or the other. And so it only syncs with one of our calendars. So if someone's trying to book him for ghostwriting, it doesn't add to my calendar, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. And what's nice too is even without reading anything else, it'll go to our calendar as so-and-so booked a website copywriting project meeting with us. And then even if I don't know anything else about the client, I know, okay, I need to start thinking of just kind of best practices for website writing or what have you, just to kind of get in that headspace and prepare to give the most value on that call.
Be ready. Yeah. Other tools, we use Get Stencil, constantly.
Yeah.
And Relay That is also amazing. If anyone, it's like Canva, but it's sort of, it does a lot more for you. I'm sure you've talked about it a lot, Doc, but.
No, but I can never talk about it enough because I think it's probably one of the best deals because they've been around for, how long is Relay That? They've been back, what? Is this the third time they've been back? And now they're pretty much staying for extended period of time. But I think this is Relay That is the most referred like tool that I mentioned to people because it's so easy. I feel like I like Canva for certain things, but when I'm building branding kits, I use Relay That so much easier.
And with streaming you do. I feel like just creating like we're having a webinar, where you have the image of the person,
Yep.
what the webinar is or what the stream or what the event is. It's like you just, also the magic import where you just take a URL, you import, and it'll take all your colors, your logos.
It's a magical thing. And you know what I love? How when it already matches all the way across. So this is good. Oh, we got a couple of different ones. We've got Kyle. Do you have a build with me for real estate? Oh, I guess I have not thought about that. But yeah, we could do a special about real estate. We can definitely do that. Sorry. What was that app between Book Like a Boss and Relay That? Well, Get Stencil, right?
Yeah.
Get Stencil, yeah. I used to use Canva for most of my designs, and I'm not a designer, so but for like just creating one-off graphics and stuff like that, I find that using Get Stencil is a lot faster for me, and yeah, it just kind of I can like jump in, jump out, and just kind of quickly create a graphic, and yeah.
Do you like it because the
anymore? But
I'm sorry, the lag. I'm sorry about that. Do you use it because you like the templates better in Get Stencil? Why is it better for you?
I think it's a mix.
He uses it for stock photos.
Yeah, actually, that's the main thing I pull from it.
Yeah.
It's just like having the premium version. I can just go
stock photo, slap a logo, go. So you can do that in Canva. But yeah, I think it's just a tool we have access to, and because of AppSumo, because AppSumo, their whole thing, right, is lifetime deals. And so it's like you buy once, you have it forever, which I just think is like so bonkers. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then could you talk about how did you decide on each tool at a time, right? Because listen, all these Sumo-lings and myself, sometimes we're like, oh, that's good. I'm going to buy that too. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy 5 deals this week. How did you approach getting each deal? Did you start writing down what like naturally occurred and you're like, okay, now I need to look for a deal that solves this pain point? Or what happened with making sure that you weren't hoarding deals? How did it just come up? That's the main thing.
Well, I'll say, at least with like how we set up Book with a Boss, we started with our like a really big pain that we had in our business, which is we felt like we were taking too much time and there were too many manual steps in us booking a new client. It was like, we get the email, we have to like send it back out, we have to schedule a call with them with like some back and forth emails. Like it was just a much longer and more manual process for something where we don't even know if they're going to be a paying client yet. And so it's just like a lot of back and forth and scheduling. So like, okay, what tool can we use to take out like 4 steps out of this process? And so we already had Book Like a Boss, but we were able to like kind of find a way to basically turn it more into an automation as opposed to like having to do it more manually.
I like reading the reviews, and then I think just for me, I love keeping a pulse. I mean, we write for the blog at AppSumo, and so we keep a pulse on things just because of that, because we're constantly writing about different things. And yeah, I'm just so impressed with the team, and I think they do a really good job of articulating, what the tools do on each page. And so just reading reviews and just trying to keep a pulse. And then if you feel like, the thing is, the FOMO is real. I mean, the FOMO of like, man, if this is gone, like this deal won't come back. And then I'll see this tool around in a year or two, and it's going to be a monthly subscription. So I think I would rather be a hoarder than not, but that's a personality thing.
Let me tell you something. If I could count how many times people are trying to buy my Hopin code right now, listen, I could have gotten a kidney out here. People, it's too late. It's too late. Hey, we talked about this offline, and I think this is really important. I use Newsy a lot, and I've used Better Proposal. We were talking about this, quoters. I think, what does that have to do with like you pricing out things, pricing out jobs? Have you seen, first of all, how easy was it for you to start pricing out your freelancing when you first got started? Did you struggle with pricing a lot? I think you talked about raising your rate, Alex, but how did you start quantifying it like line by line?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning, the only reference I had was the hourly job that I had just before that, or like basically my history of hourly jobs before starting freelancing. And what I wish I had understood at that point was that when you start freelancing, you are a business. And so when you think of yourself as, compare that to an employee where it's like, okay, maybe you're getting paid $15, $20 an hour to do a certain task. But in order for you to be able to do that task, the business is covering a lot of other expenses. So like, how are they setting up the meetings that you're going to? How are they booking the work that you're like able to do because they booked that? And just like paying for insurance and all this different stuff. You just kind of keep piling it up on top, and you realize that the value or the cost of that employee to the business is actually much higher than what that employee is getting paid by the hour. And so realizing that as a freelancer, you're taking on those expenses. So every project, you have to book it yourself. So you have to accommodate for like all the marketing that you do, all the prospecting, all the like just back and forth admin that you do. Like even being like full-time freelancers who are like pretty booked, we don't spend like straight 40 hours a week just writing most weeks. It's like typically it's more like maybe 15 to 25 hours of actual writing, and then the rest of it is business management. And so it's just like admin.
And I think in general, kind of, we mentioned this, but there's a book called Breaking the Time Barrier by FreshBooks. And this is easier said than done. I mean, initially, you might be trading just being paid by the word, and then you go to hourly, and then you go to deliverable. So you're getting paid per blog post, and I think the next level above that would be, value-based pricing. So if you're writing a landing page, maybe you negotiate for a % sales. So if this sells $100,000, and whatever the product is, you get a certain cut of that or whatever. So I would say we're not there yet. That's like dream territory. I think where we are is like pricing by deliverable, and just saying the value of this thing. Here it is. We're happy to work with you and basically price that way. So I think the thing about quoters that caught my eye was the pricing tables, because we also have Newsy. That's a former AppSumo partner as well, and Newsy is great. It's definitely very like visually just like beautiful, and I think they're really geared towards creatives. But I really like the pricing tables that
right here. Oh, sorry.
I can't see your screen, but it says investment.
Yep. We're right there. Good times. Why do you like that?
Because we price by the deliverable. It basically, we could say white paper, website copy. We could sort of list it out. And then e-sign, I think, is really cool. We don't have a tool that does that. And so just having the client be able to sign off and say, yep, that's good.
Some people ask, like, do you try to pad the lining? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just have one line and says, this is what I charge, do you ever feel like, man, it feels like we have to add more lines to justify what we're doing? How do you overcome that?
I think, again, it's going back to what value is this to the customer, and if you can learn to frame it from their point of view. So if you're just thinking of your writing as an exchange of time, so it's like, okay, like the person who wants this written doesn't have time to write this, so I'm just going to like kind of fill in their time, then that's one way of looking at it. So you can just say, like, I'm going to deliver this because you don't have the time to do it. And that's a value add to some extent. But then you can find other ways of adding value that extend much beyond that. So if you can show from past experience that your landing pages like convert higher than a lot of other people's landing pages, or if you have a record of writing articles that rank well on Google, then you can say you're not just getting like a random article that I write, you're also getting a article that might rank pretty high on Google and kind of drive more traffic for possibly years.
And yeah, that'll be kind of like the intro. And then if it's a line, say it's a white paper, we usually include what's included, you know, and so you'll have like the kickoff call. If you go to our website, lewiscommercialwriting.com, our work with us page, we have like these bullet points under each deliverable, and those are exactly what a client's going to get in a proposal as well. So what's included. And so we usually also include like 2 rounds of revisions, and that's good for the client and for us because, nobody wants to be, you know, revisioning for 6 months, basically. And so it gives them a lot of back and forth while kind of giving us a hard boundary as well. And that, works great.
So is that almost like, because you're having such structures, how they're working with you, are you almost like productizing the structure of all of the different services you're offering, would you say? Or
Yeah, this is productizing your services if you Google that. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. This is good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us, but we just have 2 more questions and then we will let you go. If someone is trying to get started right now, what do they need to do? And I think this might be best. You talked about this beforehand. Would you be okay? And if you don't want to give full details, but you mentioned how you actually coached someone recently to getting their first job. So I think it's also important for people to know, like, you hear them, Sarah Beth and Alex, and you're like, well, that's still not me. I could never do this. Could you talk about what you were able to do to coach people to get them their client very quickly, if that's okay?
Yeah, definitely. So recently, with all the things with like COVID and whatnot, a friend of ours was furloughed from their job. They had like really like kind of cushy sales job, and right now they're just kind of waiting for things to revert back to normal, but they're like basically without a job. And so they called us up, they were talking about it, and we were just kind of consoling them, and we just kind of mentioned offhand, like, hey, you know, with all this free time, like, you're really good at sales. Why don't you try to transition that into either consulting or writing for people who don't know as much as you do about sales? And so we just kind of told her, like, you know, maybe just like start with Upwork. It's like a really easy way to just kind of get your feet wet, jump on, make a profile. Everyone on that site is either a freelancer or looking for a freelancer. So it feels like a very safe place to kind of like pitch yourself and put yourself out there.
Get a few reviews under your belt too, you know, because if you start getting 5-star reviews, you can use that to then create, you know, maybe a portfolio that's in a Google Doc or even like a website. There's so many website builders today, you know. And so actually our friend, they started developing a website. It was just kind of like drag and drop template, and now they have a website. And so it's been a little over a month. And
I think not quite a month.
Not quite a month. Oh gosh. Yeah. Like since they got furloughed. And we just called them last night.
Yesterday to confirm they've had 9 clients. 2 or 3 of them are now recurring clients.
2 and almost 3.
And I think that's all the information we got from her.
Mm-hmm.
But
so right now, so she's doing copywriting. She's writing sales blogs. Clients are really happy. And now she's thinking about sales consulting because she has this deep sales experience. And so we've been talking about that, how she can maybe write, you know, different sales collateral, sales pages, help with, you know, email campaigns. And so the key is, what kind of problem can you solve today? That's that's all. We solve the problem of companies needing words, right? The deeper problem is they need to sell things, or they need to bring people in to educate people. And so, so it's like looking at the problem you can solve. And like Alex, he had a deep experience in live events. Like he almost ran over Drake one time with some speakers. He can tell you about that one thing.
Why are we now just talking about it now? Like why didn't we begin with that? I didn't know that. Oh.
Drake, like.
Oh man. Oh, that's such a good intro. I don't see it anywhere on your website at all. That would, oh my God. But continue. I'm sorry. I got derailed.
Yeah, he's
I'm
pushing some speakers, and someone stopped him as Drake walked.
That is wonderful. Oh man. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll say kind of on that line. So if someone is trying to get their first project, I'll say I think the two absolutely easiest ways to get clients at the beginning is one, go into your network like I did, because those are the people who already trust you. If you've done any type of writing or graphic design or whatever it is that your skill is.
If you know a business owner, just talk to them. Yeah, just bring it up. Hey, I'm trying this out. Everyone's trying to get online right now, so that's a huge opportunity. Even really brick and mortar, different companies that have kind of stayed away from online, they've got to get online now. And so even things like, product listings, people are trying to sell, like get quickly, a plant shop's trying to get all their plants online so they can sell, here in Austin locally. And so you could write those descriptions for the plant shop. So just look in your network. Who has a business? Who has an agency? Okay, connect with them and just really naturally tell them about what you're trying to do.
And so that's one of the really easy ways to do it. And then the other is finding freelance sites. So things like Upwork and Thumbtack and Freelancer.com. They're not necessarily the best thing for like long-term freelancing. If you wanted to make a career in freelancing, you don't want to like latch yourself to these platforms, but they're a really easy kind of like low barrier of entry way to get those first projects, get some reviews, get kind of those early portfolio pieces, because literally the only reason people go on Upwork is to either freelance or to find a freelancer. And so it's just an easy way to find those projects.
Yeah, it's good.
That's wonderful. So, guys, what I want to do is we're going to wrap up in a moment, but we are going to now talk about putting this all together, right? So, this is wonderful stuff. And again, thank you. Please do not leave yet. But what we're going to do real quick, if you are new to this is Build With Me. We have the pleasure to be on AppSumo tonight and talk about all this stuff. So what is Build With Me? We build businesses with one tool. So actually, this is a great tie-in. If you look at starting here, how to start your remote business now, that's what we did with AppSumo. But how to start a remote business, that interview, that was done by this duo right here as well. So this has been a great article that a lot of people have found value. You can find all of this to get started to think about building this business in this time. Also, too, we're doing 40 days of different tools. So we are on episode 38 tonight. So if you're on the site, you can check with us at buildwithdoc.com. You will find all of those things. And tonight, we were talking about getting your first client. If you're just joining us, go back and listen to what Sarah Beth and Alex just said. They've given you so much good value right now. And please let us know in the chat if you like this episode, if anything resonated, any quotes from them. But they're literally giving you the recipe of what you need to do to get started getting your first client as a copywriter. As we look at this, the first steps, Sarah Beth said it better than me, but we always suggest the 3 steps talking about pick a business idea, then reach out to 10 to 15 people based on how you can help them, and then create value, demo, and then create a minimal viable funnel, which means ask them, can I get started? Can I help you right now? And all of those good things. So again, thank you so much. Now, before we let you guys go, please tell. Oh, now the chat's coming out. People saying thank you. This was awesome. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we'll get to your question in a second. There's one person coming out. Before I answer any other questions, where can the good people find you? Kyle, I still see your question, but where can everyone find you? Sarah Beth and Alex.
Yeah, the best place to find us is at lewiscommercialwriting.com. And you can just Google that too, Lewis Commercial Writing, and it'll come right up. Yeah, that's where you can subscribe to our newsletter. We write every Monday, just like tips on writing, on freelancing.
We kind of describe it as the craft of writing and then how to get your words out into the world, how to get that craft out. And so that's there. And then we're over at the AppSumo blog, regularly writing blog posts. You mentioned the one about starting an online business. Really good. Alex also wrote a killer blog post recently called The Freelancer's Guide to Surviving an Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could add it to the chat or something.
Yeah.
But,
what's nice about that one is it actually deals with a lot of like really core things about freelancing. So it's definitely focused toward kind of going through this hard time that we're in right now, but it deals with a lot of things that if you're just getting started as a freelancer, it's just like fundamentals of freelancing, just like taking care of finances, finding like where to find freelance projects, all that sort of thing.
And the last one is our most recent blog is called 11 Ways to Find Freelance Jobs on our website, Lewis Commercial Writing. So 11 ways to find freelance jobs, yes, even now. And Alex wrote this. He did a great job of kind of articulating our favorite ways of finding gigs. And I think point number 1 is actually our most powerful secret. So if you go there, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So many good things. I have to add this in the chat. And then I'll add it. You know what? I'll add it in the show notes for today. Cool. On the site and just embed all those articles. I'm looking for it on the AppSumo blog right now. As we're doing this is a little bit off topic. Someone was asking about Zapier and how to use it. You can jump over to my channel if you want, and I can answer it. I'll try to summarize it because Zapier is like a behemoth to talk about right now. But just keep in mind, Zapier is so powerful, people get lost in the weeds. So make sure that you're understanding what you want the actions to be in. Are you trying to save time? What kind of automations are you looking for? And then work around what Zapier can do. So I even say, like, don't go on Zapier, write it out on a piece of paper. What do you want to do? What do you need help with? And what tools do you need it to be done with, right? Then Zapier can work with the integrations and all of those things. But if you go into Zapier and you start just toggling and making zaps, you'll be there like 3 days later and you won't get any work done. So as long as you have those guidelines, we'll be good to go. And again, thank you so much for asking questions. Keep asking questions. We'll answer anything after replay too. And then if you still have questions on Zapier, I'll do demos and all that stuff. And I think we're coming back next week. I think next week. Okay. Should I say it? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it. But it's another AppSumo. We'll probably be with SendFox. If it's not next week, it's the week after. So just watch out. We're going to be building automations and building email campaigns using SendFox. So we'll go with that. So before we go, again, Sarah Beth and Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
Good.